Hello, it's Marek. Welcome to MDrives. Today I'm in Cumbria with my mates and I'm testing Z4 in a field. So I decided to take it up here and find out, does this car is really fun car as well as a nice cruiser. British B roads, very bumpy, very picturesque. So we're going to find out very soon how this car behaves and is it really fun to drive.
And if you haven't watched my proper review of this Z4 yet, please make sure you click on the link.
We just started our drive and it's -1.5 here. So I'm actually quite surprised that the cars grip so well. So the idea behind today's drive was to find out how Z4 would actually feel as a fun car. Can it be fun with 2-litre engine and less than 200 horsepower? Well, we'll find out today. The road is very, very bumpy. So first thing is the suspension. Despite this being not an M Sport model, despite being high and quite firm, the car feels like it's a bit all over the place on these bumps. Oh, it's slippery here. Still -1 outside. I think due to this being convertible, it's just a bit unsettled on the bumps. It makes it... Oh, that was ice on the road. So I think the car feels absolutely fine as long as it's not overloaded. So if you're driving 60 miles per hour on a very bumpy road, it starts feeling really unsettled. Oh, look at this lake. So absolutely stunning location and a nice car to be in at such a location. So yes, it's definitely a time to put the roof up because I want to keep myself warm.
Oh, Larry, be brave.
I'd rather be warm. Oh, that's a lot of ice. So I decided to keep the car in auto for now. It is in Sport Plus though. However, yeah, I don't feel that changing the gears manually actually gives you any advantage. The problem with this car is that this engine, it doesn't really give you any advantage if you rev it high. It feels like it pulls exactly the same whether you are in 3000 RPMs or 6000 RPMs. Oh my god, there's a lot of ice here. So I would say in that respect it really lacks engagement, especially for someone like me who's a manual person. I really, you know, thought that maybe changing the gears manually with the paddles would actually give me that extra sensation. Unfortunately, because of the engine characteristics, I don't think it actually worked. So I keep it in auto for now, and we'll see how it goes. So driving it at the slower speeds of between 40 and 60 miles per hour actually works for this car the best. If you keep it sort of 6/10, I would say, that's where this car feels comfortable. If you put too much stress on suspension and on this chassis, I don't think it's happy anymore. So bearing that in mind and keeping the speeds reasonable, I think will ensure that the car works really well with the road, and you will feel that once you go over the comfort zone of this car. Unfortunately, it will feel like it's out of place. So as long as your expectations aren't too high, this car will actually keep you smiling. Unfortunately, due to the ice, I'm bobbing around about 50 miles per hour. But yes, that's where this car really sits really nicely. If you drive even on this bumpy road around 50 miles per hour, that's where it feels really happy.
Good boys, look at this.
What a view! Absolutely stunning.
The weather was almost perfect, and the surroundings were just breathtaking, and you could see the road for miles.
The great thing about following the Z4 is it properly telegraphs every bump in the road.
No, I watched it bounce all over the night here, and I thought that wasn't even a big bump.
Even I can see from back here how all over the show its back axle is, and yours is just like properly planted in comparison.
That's probably the best summary of how the Z4 feels and looks on the road. It's just not happy on the bigger bump.
Regardless of how it behaved on the road, I can't stop thinking this car looks absolutely brilliant. Quick stop for some B-roll shots and we're off again. The scenery was not disappointing, and most of the roads were absolutely deserted. However, the one thing we constantly had to watch out for was ice and frost on the road. We found a fantastic bit of road where we decided to stop, which gave me a chance to jump into that Clio trophy, but more on that in a separate video.
We don't know any more of the road now, so just be mindful of ice.
Yeah, ice. That's the theme of today. Ooh. Yeah, there's lots of ice. Ooh.
Holy shit.
So we're just driving through a massive patch of ice. What an amazing views. Absolutely beautiful in this part of the country. Just gone back into Cumbria. one more thing I didn't talk about is fuel consumption. So I was doing motorway speeds to get here, just over 70, cruise control, and the car was doing about 43 miles to the gallon, which is great for this kind of car. Now it's down to 27, and that's obviously because we're driving much slower, we're accelerating much more, and we were filming a bit, so we were stopping and turning around and accelerating. So overall I think this car offers quite a good fuel consumption, which probably in a mixed cycle will be around 30 to 35 mpg, which I think is great. So I've been driving this car today all day long. It's now 2 o'clock. The sun will disappear in the next 2 hours. I've done 160 miles so far, with about 60 miles to go to get me to my house. But I think it's a good time to do a bit of a conclusion. What do I think about Z4? Well, I think as long as you take this car as a cruiser, you are going to enjoy it. It's really nice. I mean, we're driving back now, and I decided to go back to comfort, to leave it in auto, and the car really feels so pleasant to drive, as long as the roads aren't too bumpy. If the roads are really bumpy, this car gets upset really badly. If you this was the perfect example of what I'm talking about. If you hit a pothole, and this wasn't even like a proper pothole, it was just a dip in a road, the front suspension doesn't have enough travel, and it hits the bump stops and it hits the chassis. You get a massive hit. You can feel and hear through the whole chassis, and it feels like the car will fall apart. Honestly, this is the one thing I absolutely hate about this car. It happened about dozens of times today, and yeah, it's just a weird thing. I never experienced that in any other car, especially this car not being an M Sport version. It's on a higher suspension, it has smaller wheels as well, so I'm really unsure how this car would take these bumps on a bigger wheels and with the lower suspension. I think it would be terrible. And I spoke with my mate who drove Supra, and he said that he didn't experience it, so the cars must be really set up completely different. But anyway, I think, as I said, as a cruiser, this car is absolutely fantastic. It's a pleasure to drive it, especially if it's warmer. You can drop down the roof and just enjoy the road. And as long as you're not driving too fast, you stick to your 50, 60 miles per hour. Even with small bumps, the car will happily take it. But if you're driving faster than that and the road isn't smooth, unfortunately, the car will let you know that it doesn't like it. It will jump a lot, especially the rear of it. So, saying that, I think I will end the video now. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Please make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you shortly in the next one.